Hey friends! So I recently turned 8 years sober this past March, and I wanted to do a video celebrating 8 years. So I thought a lot about what I was going to say in this video, and I came to the conclusion that I just want to be super real. I just want to say all the good and all the bad, really, that comes with being 8 years sober. Sure, the good far outweighs the bad, but there's still some like negative sides to it, for me at least. And I know a lot of people don't talk about, sort of the like shitty sides of sobriety. So I thought I would in this video because I think it's important to be completely transparent and real when it comes to something as big and as vulnerable and as intense as sobriety and recovery. And remember, if you like this video, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and click the bell notification button so that you get notified whenever I post a new video, which lately it has been every week. So I'll start with the good. And this is just a summarization of so far in my 8 years of sobriety, what now today I feel are the top most positive aspects to it. And the first one is I am free. Alcohol doesn't make decisions for me anymore. I can leave a party whenever I want. I can drive whenever I want. I don't have to plan my days or nights all around acquiring alcohol, drinking alcohol, recovering from alcohol. I don't have to think about any of that. I don't need to make sure that it's all embedded into my plans. And I don't need to be sure I'm at the liquor store before it closes and all that kind of stuff. So it's extremely freeing feeling. And I've heard that from lots of other people who are sober, that they feel that they're just free. Which leads into my second favorite part of being sober, is that it feels like you suddenly have endless possibilities when it comes to your life. Because before, when I was in active addiction, I had no productivity, no spark left. I was just partying, just living, just getting by. Like, I felt very limited in the things that I was interested in, the things that I did, and my future. I felt so limited in all those things because I felt so, like, honestly dead inside. So, but now that I'm sober and I'm really into sobriety, honestly, like the first 4 years, like relatively tough going, but after 4 years, it really levels out. So now 8 years in, I still feel like my future has endless possibilities. You just feel like the world is just opened up to you more. It's really cool. My third favorite aspect of being 8 years sober is that I don't look my age. At least I've been told that I don't look my age. I'm 38. I'll be 39 this year. And my skin, my skin's great. And okay, I do have a little bit of a filter on, so I'll just remove it right now. See, okay, this is my regular skin. Put the filter back on. So it's not really that much. It just like brightens me up a bit. But either way, I don't look my age. And for me, looking younger than what I am really matters more and more as I get older. The more like I care about it more, like the closer I get to 40, the more I'm like, okay, good. Like I actually have good skin and I feel good and healthy and vibrant on the inside. Whereas like my early 30s, I didn't really care as much. I didn't really see it. But now I'm seeing it and I'm so thankful I don't put alcohol or cigarettes in my body because alcohol ages you dramatically. That's a thing. Your skin loses vibrancy, you get puffy and red, and alcohol dehydrates your skin, which leads to the skin looking more aged and more dull. Also, of course, alcohol harms the organs on the inside of your body and it zaps your energy, and it actually decreases human growth hormone. So if you're into working out and you're still drinking at the same time, it's counterproductive. So all of those factors lead to when you cut out alcohol, you look younger. And lastly, my favorite thing about sobriety that I notice now is that I feel much more emotionally mature, and that translates to increased confidence. And sure, increased confidence and emotional maturity comes with age. But I know that when I was in active addiction, my emotional intelligence and the way I would think and feel and describe my feelings and all that kind of stuff was stunted because I never allowed myself to feel feelings and to look at my mind the whole time I drank, really. So basically my entire 20s. I just never did that. So I was stunted emotionally. So when I got sober, I was then forced to feel my feelings because I was no longer numbing, and I was forced to try to figure out my thoughts and my behaviors, which then made me want to figure out how to become a better version of myself. And that just kept going and going. So now 8 years later, all that work is really paying off because I feel so much more me and so much more capable to handle life. And you will find that too. The longer you go with not drinking and working on yourself and going through recovery, by growing as a human in lots of different ways, you'll find that too, that each year that passes, you get better and better at mastering your mind. So on to the bad, the part that everyone is interested in. And I have said in the past in other YouTube videos, like a few little negative things here and there. And whenever I say anything negative about being sober, I get comments and messages saying like, you're on the edge, you're gonna relapse, you gotta stop thinking like that, you gotta stop talking like that. That's a bad sign. And while, yeah, usually that would be a bad sign if someone is sober and they're starting to sound like they're romanticizing or starting to like miss drinking. That's a red flag. Like you really got to be careful because that could lead to relapse. But now when I have these thoughts that I'll talk about in a minute, whenever I have those thoughts and feelings now, I know I'm not going to drink. I know I'm not miserable. So, but I also know that I still have those thoughts now, and I'm still sober, and I'm still very happy being sober. So I feel like for me, it's okay to have these thoughts. For other people, it might be too distressing. But for me, in my experience, these bad parts of being sober that I'm about to talk about, I feel like that's just what happens. Everything in life can't be easy and perfect and amazing all of the time in every way. So really, I could only think of 3 negative aspects to being 8 years sober, or the negative things that go through my mind still that people just don't really talk about. The first one being is that sometimes I do still feel like I'm missing out. Honestly, in the first year of being sober, I felt this way all the time. Now, 8 years in, I don't really feel like I'm missing out on anything, really. But every once in a while, if something big comes up, sometimes I will feel like I'm missing out on it because I'm sober, because I'm not going to drink like everyone else. It's rare, but it happens. So one example would be my best friend's bachelorette party. We talked about getting married and bachelorettes and what that's going to be like. We talked about that stuff when we were like 13. So when the time actually came and I was sober, sure, I mean, she still had a bachelorette and it was still really fun. But man, there was a part of me that was like, I feel like I'm like bringing down the group, or I feel like I'm missing out on all the fun that they're all having. I feel like because I'm not at their level. And it made me feel a little sad that I wasn't at the same level as my best friend at her bachelorette. I was down here when they were all up here, So I felt like I was missing out on that side of fun. And in other instances, like being social and things like that, whenever other people are drunk, it doesn't bother me at all. And often I don't care. But in the first couple of years of sobriety, sure, I felt jealous and sad that I wasn't drinking as well. But now I do not feel jealous and sad that I'm not drinking. I am so happy that I'm not drinking because I think of the consequences of what happens when I drink. So I think about if I were to drink right now, I would have a horrific hangover the next day. I would feel all these terrible things. And in the moment, sure, I might feel like euphoric because that's what alcohol does. But 2 hours in, 3 hours in, like, no, I know where it leads. So to me, I know that I don't want to be at the same level as everyone else. The second sort of negative aspect to being 8 years sober that I found for myself is that I miss dancing. I know. I used to dance all the time, like dancing at the club. I don't mean like dancing in a studio. I don't know how to do that. But I mean like dancing at the club, dancing out at the bar, just like letting loose and dancing and moving your body in that way. Since I got sober, I think I've only been out dancing, honestly, 3 times. And it was really fun, and it was nice, like to like let go and move and stuff, but it was not the same. It just wasn't. And I've talked about this with other sober people, and some people agree and they're like, yeah, you're right, it's just not the same. But then there's other people who are like, no, I can dance sober and it's better. So really, it all depends on the person. But for me, I don't miss being drunk. I don't miss doing drugs or anything like that. I miss dancing when I was in that headspace. You know what I mean? I miss that. And lastly, the negative side to being 8 years sober is that I know I'm being judged. Like, that's a fact. And honestly, 90% of the time, I truly don't care. For example, if I'm at a party and there's people there that I don't know and they don't know me, and they just overhear me having a conversation with somebody about being sober, so they then they know that I'm sober, and then they judge me or they think weird shit or whatever, I honestly don't care whatsoever, because they don't know me. You know, they can't say anything, so their opinion really doesn't matter. I don't care that they're judging me and whatever they're thinking about me. If they're thinking, why is she here? Or what a loser, you know, I don't care. The 10% of the time that I do care is the part that I'm talking about. And it's rare. It's 10% of the time. But like, sometimes it bothers me that I know that I'm being judged. And those times it would be from people that I know and people that I would consider to be my friends. Well, because they are my friends. But I know that sometimes some people, and I'm honestly not even thinking of names right now. Like, there's no one that comes to mind. It's just times that I've noticed over the past 8 years in different scenarios where I feel like people might not invite me places because they know that often I usually do get invited places, but every once in a while, I know that people wouldn't invite me to certain events where they know that it's going to be like a massive drunk fest, because they wouldn't want me to bring down the mood. They wouldn't want a sober person there. And honestly, like, I freaking get it. I totally get it. If you're set on having a night of like drunken debauchery, if you want to get like blackout drunk with all your friends, you don't want a sober person there. And like, I get it. I remember what that was like. I remember being at parties when I was drunk, and I remember there was a sober person there, and I was like, oh God, like, I don't want to be around this person. Like, and I was judging her. So like, I know people are judging me. Again, 90% of the time, I don't give a shit. 10% of the time, I do care. And it's usually because they're friends. Or who knows, like, I could just be going through a tough time in my life in general. I'm just more sensitive to those kinds of things. But still, it's something that I notice that like, man, I'm not made of steel. Like, sometimes I do still sort of care that I'm being judged for being a sober person. So overall, yes, I'm extremely happy that I'm a sober person. I am very proud of it. I am not ashamed in any sort of way. It doesn't bother me that people might think I'm weird or lame or boring. I'm none of those things. And I feel like I'm a much better person because of it in lots of different ways. And I have absolutely no weird feelings about it at all. Just every once in a while I do. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. And I don't want people bad-mouthing sobriety in the comments, so please try not to do that, because you can imagine a newly sober person reading any negative comments. You can imagine how that could turn someone away from sobriety. So let's not do that, because overall being sober is, well, it saved my life. So of course I want other people's lives to be saved and greatly improved. But this is just my experience. So remember, you can do hard things, you deserve happiness, and you are loved. And sure, maybe I could have reached, actually no, I couldn't.